you walk in the room. Once the judge hands you the impromptu speech topic, you have 1 minute to select the topic from the 3 that are listed and to prepare for your impromptu speech. You then have 1.5 to 2 minutes to deliver the speech, and then you're finished. Okay? There will be at the least two, at the most 3 judges in the room judging your speech. There will be a timing judge. The whole purpose of the timing judge is to keep track of your time on a clock timer. They will have a 3-ring binder with a 1-minute card, a 30-second card, and a stop card. So they're going to be warning you, you have 1 minute left, you have 30 seconds left, you need to end. Okay? So that's their only purpose, is to make you aware of where you are in your speech time. The other thing you guys need to remember is that I have a handful of judges who've been doing this 5, 10, even 15 years. But the majority of the judges who are going to be sitting in front of you, this might be their first time ever judging the speech event for Academic Decathlon, they're as nervous as you are. And they want to give every student who walks in that room a gold medal. They're so excited to be there. Okay? So they're not there to, you know, they're hoping that you are going to succeed. They want you to succeed. They're excited to be there. So don't get nervous. You're going to have a range of judges. You're going to have KSU students all the way to retirees, stay-at-home moms, corporate presidents. It's a whole range of an audience, okay? So just remember, this may be their first time in that room as well. It's going to be one of the Berkmar classrooms, you know, 2 to 3 judges sitting in front of you with a timing judge off to the side and you in the center, okay? So that's something else to remember. You're not giving your speech to an entire room full of people. Only 3 students each year give their speech to the banquet hall. So there is that possibility that you will absolutely stun the judges, which would be awesome, and make it to the banquet hall giving your speech to every decathlete there. But the majority in that room with 3 to 4 people. Okay, so remember that. Any questions so far? All right, let's check out the Scantron. Okay, so let's look at the top of the Scantron, the prepared speech section, and let's look at all the different sections of the score sheet. So you've got speech development. The Scantron mentions organization, body, opening, and closing. The judges have been told that your speech needs to have a definite opening, a fully developed body of the speech, and then a good conclusion, okay? And again, that conclusion needs to be memorable. You want that speech to engage your audience's attention, and you need to support the content of your speech with illustrations, examples, facts, or figures. You need that, but at the same time, you don't want to get bogged down by it, because your speech also has to have some emotion attached to it, okay? Some of your original ideas and thoughts on the topic, okay? So you need to have a good balance and a good mix. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Too slow?
Yeah.
Just right?
You're going too fast.
I'm sorry. Do I need to repeat anything?
I just need to copy that.
You go right ahead. Something that I tell everyone is that, you know, the speech you choose for prepared speech needs to be something that you're interested in. If you're just picking a random topic to pick a topic that you're not interested in, you're not going to want to give that speech. So you need to find something that makes you passionate, makes you happy and excited. So obviously that's one way to bring the emotion into a speech full of facts and figures, is for it to be a topic that you're excited about. I remember distinctly my speech my senior year. I'm a big space nerd and a big science geek. My speech was about the space program and why the government needs to fund it more, you know, put more money into it. That's something I feel passionate about. And I was, you know, in the judges' faces, so to speak, you know, trying to convince them that this is how I feel and you need to feel this way too. So think about that with your prepared speech, okay? Let's go to the effectiveness part of the Scantron. So the Scantron mentions achievement of purpose, interest, and reception. So they want to see, the judges want to see that your speech isn't rambling. You're not sort of going over here and then all of a sudden you're over here and you never connect the two dots, okay? What is the purpose of your speech and how are you relating your speech to that purpose? And you need to hold your judge's interest. Your judges, I promise you, aren't going to nod off. Never known of a judge to fall asleep during a speech competition. They're not going to do that. But you can tell by their facial expressions. Are they listening or are they listening? Are they really tuning into what you have to say? Remember that your speech needs to be appropriate for your audience. Okay? Again, you have college students up through retirees listening to your speech. So essentially a broad range of adults. Okay? So if you decide for your speech to be about Lady Gaga, remember you kind of need to explain that she's a rock musician, a pop musician, because not everybody listens to her. You need to have some explanation there, okay? For example. And you need to make her interesting for those who are in your audience who might only listen to bluegrass. Okay? Okay. Correctness. Grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. A speech is as important as an essay as far as making sure you don't have any sentence fragments. No dangling participles. Use your verbs and your nouns properly and your adjectives. Okay? Try to get rid of the slang. Unless you're specifically doing a speech about slang, you really don't want slang words and colloquialisms scattered throughout your speech. Use proper American English. Try to pronounce everything properly. If you have a word that you're not quite sure of the pronunciation, ask someone. Make sure you're pronouncing it and getting that down pat. Are there any questions so far? And I can always email the slideshow to you if you shoot me your email. That's always a possibility. Okay. Prepared speech section appropriateness. Now, appropriateness is similar to correctness. They're just sort of breaking it apart. Appropriateness is more concerned with word selection and is your style appropriate to the audience. In other words, if you have a word that you keep repeating over and over in your speech. For example, in the previous workshop, there was a young lady who gave a speech last year about frogs. You may not want to say frogs every other sentence. You could say amphibians or the Latin species name, something like that. This is a good time to break out your thesaurus and look for synonyms. Make sure you mean what you say and select your vocabulary carefully. Okay? Please remember profanity is not appropriate. I know you guys know this. I'll say it to cover my back. And saying words like and like, and you guys are going to hear me pepper it throughout because I'm up here doing this on the fly, that you want to make sure you weed out of your speech if you can. If you have any sort of vocabulary tick, a word that you like to use a lot, try to get rid of that. Use another word. Questions? Comments? Okay. So let's go on to speech value. The Scantron mentions ideas, logic, and originality. The judges are looking for fresh and original ideas, anecdotes, examples, arguments, quotes, statistics, anything that's going to back up the originality of your idea. And again, you don't want to regurgitate a ton of facts because that gets a little bit boring after a while. That's where you put that emotion in. But you need to be able to back up your ideas. This doesn't preclude a humorous presentation of your ideas. You could, for example, last year, I think one of the winning prepared speeches, she talked about wanting to be an infectious disease researcher. And she presented it as such that her first love in her life was infectious diseases. So she put it in sort of a funny, humorous way, not that I want to be an infectious disease researcher, but that I love infectious diseases. Give your listeners a new viewpoint regarding your idea. Okay? So, voice. This is part of the Scantron where we're talking about not the content of the speech, but how it's being presented. We all have flexibility in our voices, the rise and lowering of pitch. You can use that to your advantage. Use the raising of pitch to transition your speech to a new section. Make sure you don't speak in a monotone. The judges need to be able to hear you. You're probably going to have note cards. Don't give your speech to the note card. Give your speech to the judges. Look at them. That's going to help project your voice. Even though you're in a classroom,